Okay, bet. My fault. I don't know why. I don't know why that happened. I have no idea why that happened. Okay,
fraction
should
of
be
what
good
Doctor
now.
Doom has, right? And on top of that, Doctor Doom has several fields of expertise. Virtually almost anything you can think of, he will find a way. He will analyze it. He has informational like machines, right, that can do it like in nanoseconds. And well, that's even a low ball, right? Because obviously these guys are dealing with things beyond time and space, right?
I think what we're gonna do here is talk about how strong he is and how fast he is, and then we'll kind of get into like specific hacks counters, and then we'll kind of get into Crisis here and what he wanted to say.
Doctor Doom has fought against entities that literally
Make
are
sure the
based or derived.
sound is synced up though too. Real quick. I cannot believe I bought that shit in extra small. That's so crazy to me. I cannot believe I bought that shit in extra small. All right, the voice was synced up. I cannot believe because that jacket was so tough too. Anyway, I hope that they give me a new one or at least give me my money back.
Or even
God damn.
transcend or contain
Okay.
concepts, ideas,
Fuck.
dualities, life and death, dark and light, right?
I
The
can't
things
believe
that
I did that,
encompass them,
bro.
things that
That's so
transcend
crazy.
spatial dimensions, infinite spatial dimensions.
Things that aren't based on the physical attacks that pretty much every verse would even utilize.
Yeah, so to give you a really good frame of reference for how insanely smart Doctor Doom is and how crazy even like, quote unquote intelligent normal humans are in Marvel, Amadeus Cho, who I'd say is like maybe top 20, top 10 right now, right? Even back in the day, he was able to like not only analyze and see the infinite multiverse through its infinite steps, but he could also scan through infinite multiverses because there are infinite multiverses in Marvel, right? And then you get to Dreamtime, which is like an even higher realm. It's actually several layers above the infinite spatial temporal living universe, and Asgard, which Asgard is already infinitely beyond the bounds of the mortal universe. There's a lot of transcendences in between. There's a lot of layers, which makes this really complicated for most crossover matches because most people think are like, oh, like he's a danger to the Earth, right? He's only planetary, but it's like, no, these guys are fighting crazy stuff, especially when you get
Yeah.
into like what realms are these guys affecting? What is their power set? Where are they drawing this power from, right? But anyways, with these hellish realms, for example, magic, she gets her power from Limbo, which is one of those higher realms. Even she is literally outerversal, right? And she's not even one of the strongest characters in Marvel, right? You have Dreamtime, the astral plane. That is basically where the telepaths get their power from, like Apocalypse, Jean Grey, Professor Xavier, Onslaught. And anyways, once Amadeus Cho got to Dreamtime, again, this guy can literally see the multiverse on infinite levels. He was like, I cannot comprehend this. Like even mathematics does not do anything here. So you get all these higher dimensions.
Hey everybody,
Wait, the
Pete
Amadeus
here,
Show
and today
has
we're going to take a
telepathy?
look at the Spedient's Gym Monster 2, which is an all
Realms. And again, Doctor Doom has fought against Mephisto and Dormammu, even Mephisto himself. His realm is infinitely transcendental to like that infinitely layered universe and
I hope
all
we see
those other
Mephisto
realms.
again
You're already
too
looking
after
into
or in Secret
outer
Wars or something.
versal, like several layers above baseline outer, and that is just for base Doctor Doom, not even at his strongest. When you go off the cosmology, Doctor Doom scales to the very high ends, even without all those external power-ups or whatever, right? God Emperor Doom. I would honestly even argue that base Doom right now is stronger than God Emperor Doom was in 2015.
Wait,
That is
what?
because of a lot of increases in power. Kind of like in Dragon Ball, right? How like base Goku became stronger than Super Saiyan Blue Vegito.
Nigga, that's super Cap. That gotta be Cap. He said Doctor Doom right now, just normal Doctor Doom. Just normal Doctor Doom is stronger than God Emperor Doom. We had the all white on in Secret Wars in 2015. Cap. That's gotta be. This is no way. What the fuck?
All trains
Hell
from
no.
earlier arcs. Same thing here. Doctor Doom in base is basically in those like high, those out.
Hold on, let me pull up the new chat. I just realized I got the old one on. Anyway, there's no way that's true though.
Outer versal levels, right?
When I think of Doom, this guy came out of nowhere and he ripped Thanos' spine out of his body with like his bare hands, like just no difficulty. And it was so intense that it's what inspired Black Frieza ripping gas apart, like in the manga for Dragon Ball. Like it was that iconic of a scene. So I was actually kind of curious how, like, just physically strong, just like realistically, do you think this character is? Because you said he has godlike martial arts. He's probably throwing hands better than Goku. You know, so it's like, what does that even mean for him? And then how fast do you think that is too? So we talked about he's kind of beyond these abstract entities that are absorbing multiverses. Maybe they're kind of reaching realms of logic. But where in this cosmology do you think he really fits into it all?
Let's like picture this, right? So we have like those classic era heralds, and I'm talking like 60s, 70s. Even these weakest guys could blow up stars, right? And endanger galaxies. So if you guys remember the pre-retcon Beyonder, right, in the 70s Secret Wars, he was supposed to be the strongest character at the time. He was supposed to exist outside of the Marvel multiverse, and verbatim said to be hundreds, thousands, millions of times stronger than every cosmic entity put together. And even back then, the cosmic entities, even just the avatars, were already outerversal, right? They literally extend to like the highest realms pretty much, right?
And an outerversal being is a being beyond the concept of space and time. So even if a character could blow up an infinite universe, they're just blowing up an infinite space. Or if there's a higher dimensional universe, it's still within space. So it's kind of beyond the concept of things that would embody a multiverse, a hyperverse, etc. Just for the audience.
That is still below what Doctor Doom is at, like by like several infinite magnitudes, right? That's basically what I'm trying to tell you guys here. So
he gotta have like
outer
a
stuff.
he can't
once
just
you enter
normally
modern
do
Marvel,
that shit
'cause they
though.
incorporated more layers. We have the far shore. We got more specifics on the negative zone, a crossroads, right? Half a dozen, maybe over a dozen, maybe 24 layers, like of above baseline outerversal you're looking at.
And then obviously his speed would be inherently inaccessible because he's not bound by time. Does he freely travel throughout time if he wishes? Like, does he?
Yeah. So he has automatic time travel through his suit. He also has external machines too. He can teleport. He can heal himself too. His shields can negate a lot of stuff. But the thing is with his suit, yeah, so he can time travel. And he can pretty much just use it whenever he wants. A really important thing here is you guys might be like, hey, Doctor Doom, he's not like Silver Surfer, Thor level fast, right? But he actually is. You could argue he's not as agile as them. I think that's totally fair, right? Because they have completely different levels of travel. But either way, right? He can keep up with those entities. One of my favorite scaling as I was talking about earlier was with the Beyonder is the pre-retcon Beyonder. He's supposed to be 1,000 times stronger than everyone. Then he gets retcon. He gets kind of nerfed basically. And then they're like, oh, the pre-retcon Beyonder is actually like a child unit of the Beyonder, right? He's actually like a larva basically, right? The Cosmic Cube, they're basically these, larva Beyonders. And even this one, considering actually this Beyonder was like a half power, right? He was an incomplete one at that, and he was still reversal. And then he gets way stronger. He becomes Cosmos. He gets mentored by another Cosmic Cube called Cubic. And that is where that famous statement comes from, where he's looking at the Celestials and he's like, yeah, we have infinite power. We're beyond time and space, but this guy's like infinitely beyond us. And the thing is, that's not even like the highest ranking Celestial. So, but it should be at least low outer. And then Doctor Doom, he's fighting Chthon, who is literally the elder god who made the Scarlet Witch's power. The Scarlet Witch, even years before that battle, she was able to fight alongside like her mother and Agatha to fight against this being who is stronger than the Chaos King. The Chaos King is way stronger than pre-retcon Beyonder, and he was already destroying like 99% of the multiverse. Again, Amadeus Cho could actually analyze how much he destroyed exactly. And again, right, so these characters that are already several infinite magnitudes above pre-retcon Beyonder, who is already outer, and Doctor Doom is literally matching fools who are way stronger than that. And base.
Let's say he does get thrown against Shonen Jump. All right, just because it's popular. We already went over that he's got outer Goku hands. If he was to square up with Aizen,
I don't think he got
combo him.
I don't think he got hands like
that.
that.
And he couldn't move. Yeah, that's fine at all.
I don't think he got hands like that's funny though. But I don't think he got hands like that, gang. I really don't. I don't think he got hands like that. I think I got rid of the other chat too. Let me see. I don't think Dr. Doom got hands like that. To where he can hang with Goku? I don't know about the nigga Aizen, but Goku? But Goku?
But what are some things
Rock
you
Lee?
actually do in response to them? Like realistically, like what happens if Itachi throws a Tsukuyomi at him, or tries to hit him with the Totsuka blade? What happens if he is confronted with Aizen's like soul hacks? Can he seal someone like Aizen? What happens if he does have to
Seal.
fight a Yuha being? We kind of went over like most of like the some of the Dragon Ball, and One Piece isn't really in contention for that type of stuff. There's not even that crazy of hacks to deal with. Like he has to beat light. Well, he's already beyond time and space, so that's irrelevant. But how would he?
Why I get triggered when someone gives me unsolicited advice. When I was younger, it came
Deal with like some of those well, he's already beyond time and space, so that's irrelevant. But how would he deal with like some of those types of hacks abilities?
He's encountered a lot of characters with similar abilities to like Aizen's and other Naruto characters, like hypnosis, or mind hacks or reality warping,
Is
manipulation.
Genjutsu
soul
and
hacks,
hypnosis the same thing though?
this
I
erasure.
don't know
He's
about
outright counter that. Shield has like an AI system that'll like literally tell him of like different energy waves, so it'll warn him, and he can even analyze it. One of the biggest things that helped him actually overcome not only the Watchers, but also Odin and Galactus, the Beyonder, right? All these characters are way stronger than him. He was still able to analyze and modify his armor mid-battle so that he could actually withstand the power he absorbed, even though it was literally, I'm not talking like 10, 100 times, 1,000 times more power than his own base could take. I'm talking like several infinite magnitudes of power that he could withstand. Even Iron Man, right, who I would say Doctor Doom is definitely smarter than him in that regard in battle IQ as well. Even he's analyzed like different energy signatures and nullified them mid-battle, even ones that he had never seen before. He's even counter magic too, right?
Yeah, the way I'm seeing it is like even if he had equal, like let's say he wasn't even like powerful, like let's say he was like some Batman, like he was throwing like Batman or something. It almost feels like he could pull off like almost like a more like efficient Batman kind of like takedown of a verse where like his suit is just traveling through time, absorbing the energy by default, auto countering and stuff like that. How weak could he be and still like take down these verses? Like, is his hacks enough? Do you think to actually
Did his dick get burnt off when that happened?
That's
That's something I
like
I wonder.
power doesn't matter, or do you think the power is still relevant?
Against most of fiction, I would say you could honestly take his magic and just give him his raw technology. You probably don't even have to give him like his suit either, and he could pretty still make it out of like
glazing this nigga a little bit.
90% of those situations.
Let's say he was naked, dropped into the Naruto verse, and like no powers. You think he would be able to build a suit and then solo that verse like next day or something?
Yeah. So I mean, even Spider-Man has made like technology like on a stranded planet, and again, it's not no disrespect to Peter, he's like a really smart character, but he's not as smart as Doctor Doom. Been like Mr. Fantastic and other variants that have made stuff that could map out the multiverse, right? Time travel. They could explore higher dimensions, right? Outside of spatial temporal stuff. Doctor Doom is pretty much on the same, right? Even Thanos himself was like, yeah, I need to get one of Doctor Doom's time machines, even though he has made his own, right? So like one of the things too that I was talking about earlier is his informational computer system. It'll like help him exponentially adapt. So as I said, he had never like studied advanced martial arts. He's only done it on his own. Triumph and Torment, that is where he went there the first time to see those mystic sorcerers, and he saw all of their abilities, and he's like, oh, I need to like actually adapt quickly, right? So he picked up on their movements, kind of like how Goku did achieve Ultra Instinct in like 45 minutes or even less than that. Dr. Doom could probably pick up, if not all advanced abilities in most of these verses in a very short amount of time if he really needed to. Beyonder, these guys had more power, they had more versatility or whatever. He still found a way to counter them. And again, he's literally fought against a lot of high-tier opponents. Dr. Doom can literally figure out how to counter them in real time while getting ganged up on. So you have to do virtually everything at the same time just to have a chance to beat him.
You could probably talk about Doom for hours, realistically, like all the crazy stuff he's done. But just for this video, that's kind of a basic idea. Like you could drop him in a Shonen Jump verse, completely like nerfed, just no tech, and he could probably adapt to that verse like quickly and then solo it anyway.
Whichever verse you put him in, he will find a
he ain't
way
mean
to
Goku.
not only do it better than everyone else, but find other stuff that others might have not even thought was possible.
But that being said, we might have an actual canonical example of Doom being above 99.9% of fiction, and it might be arguably
From
legit.
Fortnite?
This is where Crisis has an interesting take, and now this will be centered around Fortnite. Now, a lot of you guys have wanted me to scale like Fortnite Goku for a while, and Crisis and I on stream, we kind of did like a joke, like Fortnite Goku versus Fortnite LeBron thing on my side channel. You guys might like it after this, but Fortnite Doom is arguably canon, probably canon, and Crisis will kind of get in all the details about that. And he takes down most of these other named powerhouses, which also might be arguably canon within Fortnite. So I'll let you handle all of that.
Yeah, I mean, if there's going to be the topic of Doctor Doom versus all of fiction, we actually basically saw that. And the evidence for it being canon, especially in the Marvel side of things, sort of lies in the main Thor run at the time, where the version of Galactus that was the super empowered, Super Galactus, basically, he was for a time the main villain of Fortnite. And in the comics, it segued right from the mainline Marvel official Thor run with this Galactus and transitioned into the actual game itself. And the writer even confirmed on Twitter, he said, yes, this is canon. The
What the
Marvel
fuck?
websites confirm it as well. They back it up, the official websites. So there is a precedent for these being the genuine 616 versions of the characters. There's also the sort of legal aspect, because a lot of people, when it comes to canon, they want to harp on, oh, well, does the parent company have the authority here? And as it turns out, Disney, who of course owns Marvel and Star Wars, which I'll talk about in a little bit, they put $1.5 billion into Fortnite, into Epic Games.
16 years
Goddamn.
ago, I started working as a CNA in the hospital. I loved it. On the day I did.
So they actually do have a lot of influence and control over that company. And we've seen this, especially when Doctor Doom, taking up for Galactus and Thanos before him, became the main villain of this arc, this chapter of the Fortnite game.
I wish we would've got that Cyclops
throughout
skin
this,
in,
we
Fortnite.
see in the breadcrumbs of lore that exists in this shooter game that Doctor Doom was able to take the power from Pandora's box, which at this point, Greek mythology, it's basically the same in Fortnite, but it's just the super powerful font of energy that Doctor Doom is able to just walk up to and steal, and is able to harness its power to reshape the entire island. All of the characters in the game are sort of, afraid of him. The website, the official Fortnite website, says that no one can stand up to his power. So he just is the top dog for a good period of time there. And it's worth noting that Fortnite is basically just the nexus of all fiction.
Closest you're gonna get.
Yeah, the closest, really. I mean, Skyrim is in there, Marvel, DC,
Fuck.
various characters. Basically, any franchise you can think of. Star Wars, like I said, they just include those characters in the lore. I mean, Fortnite is so crazy. There are just cutscenes with like the Death Star blowing up, and then Superman shows up in the same scene right afterwards. So it's pretty heavy-handed in that sense. But with that being said, especially when talking about, how does Doom compare to fiction, this is sort of the biggest case study of that. He just runs the show. He just runs the gauntlet. He sniffs out the most powerful source of energy, takes it for himself.
Which supports what Chuck was saying earlier as well.
Exactly. It is very consistent with Doom's 616 abilities. If you look at the broader nature of Fortnite, what characters, what threats would Doom sort of supplant at that point, per being the ultimate threat at that point in time? Well, of course, there is Galactus, like I said, and I think Chuck demonstrated the sort of high-tier Marvel power levels pretty thoroughly already. But we also have, God of War. We have Elder Scrolls as well, which those series house sort of insane concepts and powerhouses that, especially God of War, Seth has broken down over various times on his channel. And in episode 9, in the opening title crawl of the Star Wars movie, it says, Sidious sent out this message that for everyone to hear that he's returned. And the only way to hear that message is to play Fortnite. It was in the game.
That's crazy.
At the time. And so it's kind of like essentially the Star Wars movie itself, Disney saying, all right, time to go play Fortnite to get the full story here from Star Wars. So whenever you see Darth Vader, whenever you see Palpatine, whenever you see Rey, it kind of just sort of has to be at least copies of their canon, selves, their canon iterations, because the way that Fortnite also operates, the sort of lore of it is demonstrated throughout the DC comics, the DC Batman tie-ins to Fortnite, because of course DC plays a part in that game very heavily. And it was actually edited by the story editor at the time of the Fortnite game. So it's all very collaborative. It's very hard to say that this is just some random crossover. But it's explained that when someone is taken into the loop, so when they take part in the sort of contest that Fortnite represents, they are copied as well. There is a perfect copy of them made. we see that Batman and Catwoman, they're sucked into this loop and they eventually fight copies of themselves. So that's sort of how it's explained. You know, Kratos shows up in Fortnite. Well, obviously he has to go back to perform the events of God of War Ragnarok. Well, you can still play as Kratos in the game because he has
crazy.
a copy made that's just running around. And really, when you think about it, this should account for every player who's playing as Kratos running around in this island. So it's not just that they're making one copy, they're making many copies. So when Doctor Doom is this giant cosmic threat who everyone is sort of crapping their pants over, and he's called the ultimate power, no one can mess with him, that accounts for multiple versions of Beerus, of Goku, of Gohan from the superhero movie. That accounts for multiple iterations and copies of the Elder Scrolls Online protagonist and Kratos, multiple versions of Superman. We in fact see this just sort of empirically as well, because with Superman we have the sort of mainline comic book Superman, we have the Golden Age Superman skin, we have the Superman skin from the new movie, we also have Anakin Skywalker as well as Darth Vader. There are many instances where the Fortnite sort of nexus of all realities makes copies of these heroes, multiple versions of them across time, and multiple versions of those versions if you really take into account how you would extrapolate these lore points and clearly what they're suggesting via their creation and how it impacts gameplay. And like I said, you'd have all these characters running around. You'd have multiple versions of the Hulk. You'd have multiple versions of Goku with Ultra Instinct and Kratos and Darth Vader and etc. And they're all jumping Doctor Doom, and the best that they could do is use some of the genius characters on the Marvel side of things who have experience with Doom, right? The best they could do is just BFR him. They were jumping him. They could weaken him just enough to teleport him away, but they didn't knock him out. They didn't kill him. You know, Kratos clearly in his bloodlust, he just is canonically a part of these events, whether you like it or not. He didn't kill Doctor Doom. He couldn't manage that. So if we're going to be asking the question, how does he stack up to 99% of fiction? Then case in point, just look at Fortnite, man.
Yeah. Especially if we're talking
That's
about
so
99%
crazy.
of
I was not
characters
expecting
that
them to bring
people
up
think
Fortnite.
about as well.
It
which
is.
because, you know, conventionally speaking, most characters are above 99% of fiction that we talk about in power scaling. But if we're just talking about power scaling characters in general, that's a good example. I was curious to ask you, do you think things like other DC characters are considered canon within that game? Now, obviously, I don't think that they're going to have like some agreed shareholder opinion, but it is kind of interesting to think, like, would a character like Batman Who Laughs or was Superman or whoever else, do you think that they actually have somewhat canon iterations in the game that could even be like somewhat unintentionally have a canonical battle with Doctor Doom or like a contrast with him?
Yeah, you know what's crazy is there was the Batman Who Laughs character, as you named, and he's sort of the representation of Batman combined with the Joker and represents sort of an
If the Colonel saw the price of a lunch today, he'd have some choice words.
What are your,
But with
if you're still there, Brandon, what are your
$5
thoughts
bowls packed with all
on
this
Batman Who Laughs? I've seen some people recently say that they don't like him anymore, but I think he's pretty, you know, like a cool, like Elseworld type of villain type of thing.
Batman with no more
I do wonder, like, how does this nigga see? And also, like, when he's so skinny. I don't know.
morals. Of course, there's sort of the meme that Batman always wins, he plans for everything, but they kind of took that to heart and personified it through Batman.
Oh, it just makes me wish that Multiverses, the game, would have fucking died. That game had crazy potential for real. But I've never seen a game come out, or I've never seen a game have a beta and then come out and like have a gamma, because the official game was way worse than the beta. Like, I've never seen that happen.
Who Laughs, and his creator who wrote this big epic Batman Who Laughs saga, after it sort of concluded, in which case we saw the Batman Who Laughs take over the power from Perpetua, who's the mother of the multiverse, this incalculably powerful god of the DC cosmos, and he also as well outmaneuvered, caught the better of Wally West, who even just alone is a incredibly powerful character, but at the time he was actually amplified by a portion of Dr. Manhattan's abilities. And Dr. Manhattan is sort of similar conceptually to Perpetual. He was someone who was able to reboot the DC metaverse multiple times over, so accounting for various reboots where the entire line, all of these characters from top to bottom, were retconned and reconfigured and rebooted. That was actually revealed to be Dr. Manhattan. And so Batman Who Laughs, this writer, Scott Snyder, was able to, convey these stories in the main DC Comics.
That shit is
After
creepy.
that, he wrote a Fortnite Batman crossover comic book, which, has narration bubbles referencing those massive events with Batman Who Laughs at the center of them. And it showcases that villain, that character, going to the Fortnite loop and being like, this is awesome. I can cause as much mayhem as I want forever, right? And so he just is canonically running around by his creator, by the original writer of all these crazy events. He's just stuck in the loop. He loves it. So when you see Doctor Doom becoming this super powerhouse, and we know for a fact that canonically Batman Who Laughs, with all of his abilities and knowledge, he's sort of peak Batman. He's the most lethal, cutthroat, no morals behind Batman, as well as the Joker's intellect combined. He's able to, pull the rug out from under these cosmic DC powerhouses. He didn't do that, right? He didn't steal the power from Pandora's box. He hasn't become some epic god tier boss of the Fortnite, storyline, which we've seen characters like Thanos and Galactus do. By the time Batman Who Laughs shows up, Doctor Doom is the one, calling the shots, running the show, and having everybody, on red alert. So it is crazy impressive. And even like you said, the fact that DC and Marvel, maybe they haven't co-signed so much on this wider narrative, right? Like, I don't think there was any editors getting together and saying, yeah, let's have Doctor Doom, show up the Batman Who Laughs. Let's put our foot down and say that. But currently, DC and Marvel are getting along. They are
speaking of
printing
which,
crossover comics again.
have you seen that cover of the Superman and Spider-Man crossover? They both got the black suits on. That shit's tough.
As we speak, it's been the first time in like over 20 years that they've done so, but they are in handshake agreement, and so it's totally not out of the question that you really have to take that into account. A lot of these factors here people would just sort of maybe scoff at, but really it is comic books. Silly stuff like this happens all the time. There's really no, you heard everything that Chuck said. Are you really going to think that this Fortnite crossover and all this crazy scaling, the Batman Who Laughs, you're going to think that's out of the question? When you really look at it, when you really take all these statements and all of these writer intentions, when you take them at face value, it basically shows that if Doctor Doom wanted to, and maybe he canonically actually has, not only would he a threat to 99% of fiction, but maybe even that top 1%, right? The remaining, number one, like the Darth Vaders, the Sidious's, Kratos, Superman, etc. All these characters, multiple versions of them are all running around, and they would be, trying their best to beat Doctor Doom and save the day, and the best they could do is really just BFR him.
Yeah, while jumping him. He'd basically be like a Shonen Jump final boss battle arc for these characters. But yeah, if you guys are interested in more scaling from Doom, you can check out Chuck and Crisis' channel. Crisis has a huge Fortnite breakdown on it in particular if you like the Fortnite stuff. But that being said, I had one more thing I wanted to ask. Now, there's going to be the next Avengers movie. All right, it's going to be Doom today. Do you think that he's going to be like above like Dormammu or Thanos or something like that? Or do you think he's going to be still like kind of below them? Like, how do you think that's going to pan out? Just a little prediction.
Going by like how in Thunderbolts they're like, wanking off Sentry, they're like, oh, he's stronger than every Avenger combined, which would include Thor, Captain Marvel, right? There's also like another statement that I think he's like literally does have the power, but that was an exploding sun. It's like, it's like a downplayed version of the comic. I think in the comic it's like 1 billion, but either way, that's still pretty okay. But now we're getting into that ballpark where it's like, oh yeah, like these.
I do want to know what's been going on with Dormammu, but like the way Doctor Strange 2 ended,
standard because they need to be that.
What's up with that?
Everyone's gonna get power ups. So Franklin Richards is literally super OP already. He's like a little kid. If he fights Doctor Doom when it's like a young kid, or it's like a teenager even, then he'll like they definitely show some infinite power, right? Yeah, that's what Galactus said as well. And now whether it'll be like Infinity Ultron level from What If, it should logically be even greater than what Kang was going to do, and Infinity Ultron anyways, because just the Kang variants were already causing like a lot of these timelines to die out. Narratively speaking, Kang is supposed to be like Thanos on like an even grander scale, right? And then Doctor Doom just like is supposed to be above that.
If he's ever stated to be like the most greatest threat they've faced so far, or like the final threat or something, you might be able to just kind of like default him above things like the Infinity Gauntlet or Dormammu as like a threat gauge. But yeah, or even the Kang, stuff like that. But
here's how I use Asana to hand off my busy work. I use Asana AI to create a first draft.
Another thing I'd say too is it'll be really hard for the Avengers, especially because they've never faced like someone that combines technology and magic, right? It's either one or the other, or something completely different.
That's a good point.
With Thanos, we actually have some evidence that that is exactly what they're going for, because there was a recent Disney convention where they were sort of showing off or teasing elements of the upcoming Avengers movie. And we straight up do see that skeleton pull. We don't know if it's Thanos exactly for sure, but we see Doctor Doom pulling. He's holding someone's severed head and spine. So
It's very obvious iconography.
it's obvious iconography, and the inspiration we already know is 100% going to be Marvel's 2015 Secret Wars, which is the name of the upcoming movie, the second of these upcoming Avengers movies, and that is the storyline in which Doctor Doom becomes God Emperor Doom. He gets the power of a Beyonder, reshapes the entire Marvel cosmos more or less, and does totally just one shot and humble Thanos. So I mean, the odds are they're going to say he's the most powerful villain they ever faced, especially
he should
with
be,
Loki,
too.
the Loki show, how that ended. And we see that character basically holding the entire multiverse together. Now, I would probably say that is just beyond Dormammu. I think Dormammu is probably contained within the multiverse. At least, the Dark Dimension is a collection of multiple universes that Dormammu personifies in the MCU lore. So infinite multiverses, more or less, is what Loki would be containing. And I think most people would probably assume that Doom is going to steal that power or be a threat to it. So no, absolutely. I think Doom's stocks are only going to get higher. I mean, they brought back RDJ for a reason. He is more or less the ultimate hero of the MCU. Maybe not in terms of sheer raw power, but if they're going to make him a villainous threat, he's going to have to put in the work against the X-Men, all the Spider-Man, multiple versions of the Avengers, Loki. No, I think it basically is a foregone conclusion at this point that Doom will be the ultimate MCU villain by the time that Doomsday and Secret Wars come out.
Yeah, so, it is a live action version, so he's not going to be as crazy as his comics, but it's very fitting, actually, for him to be such a big threat. It's actually very fitting with our video, actually, because we planned this before I even thought about the Avengers Doom movie. But that being said, I really, really would love if you guys subscribe to me and to these two here. If you want more stuff on Marvel and DC, I'm going to host more collabs like this on my channel with various creators, so look forward to that.
Cool. Shout out, Set the programmer. I don't think that, I kind of agree with, if Doctor Doom, he's always going to strive to get more power, right? So whatever verse or whatever thing he's in, if there's something that's going to make him the most powerful in that verse, I do think he'll end up getting it somehow, some way, shape, or form as a Doctor Doom. But do I think he can hang with Goku and these or some other niggas in these? No, I don't think he got like that. But yeah, I do think he is. I do think he is. Like that. I think he could, if there is power to grab, Doctor Doom gonna grab it. You gonna grab it. You gonna reach back like goddamn Odell Beckham and catch that shit. But let's see what else do I got that we want to react to. We got another sensible saying about who has the best fight career, who has the best fight career in DBZ, or and also the absolute Batman. Before I do that, though, I am kind of hungry. So let me see. Mm-mm. I think it's stream delay, but oh yeah. Well, let me see. Yada 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 yada. Select on the normal one too. Uh, I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can fix it real quick. Well, it kind of fixed itself one time. It says it's good. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can fix it real quick. Well, it kind of fixed itself. It says it's no, let me see. What? No, that's straight. Boom, 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 boom. What? It is a little delayed. I don't know why it keeps doing that on their shorts for whatever reason. I don't know why though. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know how I can like. I don't know why it's doing that. In the normal stream, it's normal. I don't know why it's doing that. Maybe if we'll fix it. So now let me see. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now let me see. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know why it's doing it. I think it's just the shorts thing. It's like, well, I am streaming on 2 different things. Also, might be issue. But let's see what we got. Who has the better fight career, Goku or Vegeta, or Absolute Batman? Which one do I want to react to? Or real quick, see, is there any other news drop before calling it a day on that? Yeah, no one cares about Silent Hill. No one cares about Silent Hill or let's see, Harry Potter. I don't care about that either. Twitter, might have some. Let's see. Power Rangers. Uh, this is crazy. This is insane. This is insane. This is this is insane. I'm gonna save that. Close your eyes, JJ, in case you see some Game of Thrones spoilers. Uh, let me tell you something. Yeah, I don't see it. Oh, here we go. Let's discuss the film vibes and stuff. Nope. Not really. Kelly Kennedy gives an update on the future of Star Wars. James, no one cares. Star Wars, step it up. What's going on? Oh, this is stop motion. I was like, why is this nigga like having a seat? Like he's like crumping but having a Caesar. Okay, anyway. So let's see. Goku or some kind of hungry though. Low-key, my worst. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I gotta reopen the chats. Okay, so there's new stuff in there. I don't think so. There's not even new stuff in there. So good. I'm hungry. I gotta order some food. But let's see. Which one should I watch first? I would see. I would do like a ooh foo foo or something like that, but niggas canceled my stream last time. last time I did one, so I don't know if I should do that. I don't know if I should do that right there. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So I'm thinking, let's watch this. That's a 40-minute. And
We're
while
gonna
this
be
is
breaking
playing,
down Goku.
low-key spoilers for Dragon Ball. And if I don't want JJ to know, I don't need. Yes, young Daryl up and live for almost 3 hours. I am starving. Okay, let's save this for later. Let's save this for later. Is there anything else I wanted to watch? For real, for real? I'll save this for when. Bruh. Yeah, nigga, that jacket. Nigga, that jacket. I cannot believe I did that. I'm like, I messaged that nigga on Instagram and Twitter, but I just have to wait to see if he responds. That's crazy that I did that. I cannot believe. Like, I don't even know who can even wear that jacket. Me. I don't even know who could even wear that jacket. That's the other thing. So yeah, you're in the shorts one. There's also like a regular one, whichever one you prefer watching. But I cannot believe I did that with that jacket. That was that's crazy. That was crazy that I did that. I was like, bro, what? I was like, ain't no way. I was like, ain't no way. Like, nigga, that was just sorry on my behalf. I was just sorry on my behalf. I can't even. But the crazy thing is, I swear that I made sure I didn't do that. That's what's crazy to me, because I almost did that, and then I was like, let me make sure I don't do that. So I don't know. Oh yeah, JJ, my friend wants me to watch. My friend wants me to watch One Piece. Where my shouldn't go his last moment, email them run away. Nigga, I didn't even notice because I just assumed that I didn't do it because when I ordered it, I just assumed I didn't do it because I caught myself from doing it. The only thing I think of is maybe it was 2 of them in there or something. And then I thought, I don't know, but I swear I looked at that and made sure I didn't do it, and then I did it. Because at first I was like, didn't he just send me the wrong thing? Oh, that's crazy. But no. Yeah, nigga, this is like, nigga, this is this is like, I don't even know. I don't even know who could wear this. Like, it's just like, bruh, that's crazy. That was so crazy. I was like, ain't no way. That sucks. No, no, I didn't. And I indeed did. I, I indeed did. Oh yeah, I don't know if you probably missed it earlier, Daryl, but this nigga from this white nigga from Meet the Titan or Remember the Titan, Remember the Titans. Yeah, I gotta put it on Coco. This nigga from Remember the Titans, he's gonna be the new Kratos in the live action God of War show, and he was voiced Thor in the game of the God of War games. Shout out my forget his name. I cannot believe I did that though. I really hope that nigga messaged me me back, bro. Cause I was like, bro, can I exchange? I was like, I understand if I like give, can I like exchange it for an extra large one if you got one or something there? Cause golly, I was like, yo, I'm like, nigga. I cannot believe I did that. Loki. Well, I'm just gonna watch. Actually, I am gonna watch the one. And JJ just gonna have to be full of spoilers. You're still in here. Sorry. Or just don't watch it for like 40 minutes.
We're gonna be breaking down Goku and
Hold
Vegeta.
hold on. So this is who had the better fight career based on like like this. You probably weren't here for the earlier part of the stream either, but this is like this nigga be breaking down yeah Gary yeah. But he be breaking down like anime fights, like the UFC fights. It's pretty dope. I watched this one on stream earlier.
Vegeta's entire DBZ fight careers to finally answer the question, who had the better resume and by how much? Now you might be thinking, oh, you can just look up their win-loss records. Nah, those lists are trash. Some fights are missing and others make no sense. You're telling me Goku and Vegeta's 1v1 isn't on there, but all three of Frieza's transformations are going to be counted as separate losses for Vegeta? They even gave him a loss to Trunks for getting hit with the Ki Blast? Really? And for Goku, they counted his sacrifice as a second loss to Cell. Bro, these aren't even fights. Anyways, I'm not just going to be rebuilding the records. I'm going to be ranking every fight based on who they fought and how they performed. Because a win against Frieza should not carry the same weight as wins against Pterodactyl, police officers, and mustache strongman.
Police officer.
Is that guy?
Speaking of those tomato cans, I'm not counting Goku's OG Dragon Ball run. It wouldn't be fair since we never saw Vegeta's pre-DBZ record, even though we know he was out there saucing up entire species, so we're just going to call out their amateur records, and DBZ is when they turn pro. Alright, here's how it's going to work. We're going to be ranking each fight using 3 criteria: the opponent level, the performance, and the context adjuster. Opponent level is scored out of 10, and the scale resets after each saga. I'm not ranking across the whole show because that would make every fight outside of the Buu saga feel worthless. For example, you'd never rate Goku's win against Frieza lower than his win against Yakon. That's goofy as hell, even though Yakon's technically stronger. That's not how we see these fights, and that's not how the Z fighters saw them either. I do think there should be some inflation from saga to saga, so we'll bump it up by half a point each time. So the max score is 10 for the Saiyan saga, 10.5 for Namek, 11 for the Android saga, and 11.5 for the Buu saga. I feel like that keeps the integrity of the older fights while still respecting the power creep. Fair enough? Alright, performance is simple.
Rocking that nigga Kid Buu shit.
How good they looked. Max score is always going to be 10. And finally, the context adjuster. This one's important because fights in DBZ aren't always clean.
Hold on, Daryl. Who would you say is stronger, like Kid Buu, like Demon Time Kid Buu, or like Super Buu, or do you think Kid Buu is the strongest version of Buu? I'm curious to see what you think. So you don't? Yeah, some niggas think he's the strongest. He's the strongest nigga because he was the last nigga, but he can't be. Yeah, he's most dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Like illogical, crash out. Don't care. You know what I'm saying? But one you probably don't want to fight. But he's just narratively he can't be the strongest nigga because it just doesn't make sense. Like that, like if they would have jumped him, they would probably have beat him easier. Like they could have Goku could have teleported to Earth, grabbed Gohan when they risked everybody back to before, teleported to Earth, grabbed Gohan, came back, and they all could have jumped him. Yeah, they could have grabbed Piccolo. They could have grabbed a few niggas. They could have just all jumped him. They probably been, especially Gohan. I think Gohan would have done something to that nigga. Yeah, for real. But yeah, he's not. I don't think so. But a lot of people think he is for some reason. Because you can't tell me Kid Buu is stronger than Super Buu when he absorbed Gohan, Piccolo, and Gotenks. You just know like that fuse you get that nigga. Like Goku and Vegeta, or Goku didn't even want to fight any other Buu besides that Buu and like Fat Buu. He was like trying to actively avoid fighting them niggas. Or fighting that nigga. Well, I guess I can get a thing. Shiboo. Shiboo. Sorry, I'm ordering food. Bam. Is that it? Anything? Okay, fuck it. That's good. But yeah, I don't think that nigga. I don't think he can do that. I don't think he's like that. Some people, I've seen some people like try to argue that he is because all these niggas just got stronger and out of nowhere. I don't know. But I just don't think he is. Because, nah. Nah. I'm starving, by the way. Some of that orange food. Chicken. Thanks. I would not like to round up. I would not like to round up for St. Jude. Sorry. sorry. But okay. Cool. Bam. Okay, let's
Goku
continue
scores an
video.
8 for performance, but it turns out it was a 2-on-1
Captain
or a
Ginyu.
3-on-1. I have to raise or drop that score to reflect it. Or let's say he was fighting someone who's a 10, but they were sandbagging or limited in the fight. I might lower the opponent level to a 7. After adjustments, I'll average the two main numbers for an overall fight score. Simple. Alright, I'm gonna throw on the Red Scouter, so let's get into it, starting with Goku's fights from the Saiyan Saga. First up is Goku versus Raditz, and I'm not talking about the fight where he fought alongside Piccolo. I'm talking when Raditz first pulled up to the planet. For
Raditz,
level, I'm going to give Raditz a 5.5. He's pretty middle of the road for the Saiyan Saga. Even after the year-long training, he was still relatively in the same league as Lion Z Fighter, so I feel like 5.5 is good. But
that nigga showed up. He only been hitting his
level
legs
and give him an extra
quads,
point,
especially
bumping him up to an overall of 6.5. And I'm doing this because this is before the Z Fighters got a chance to train a year for the Saiyans. He blindsided them, they were unprepared, and the audience perception of Raditz was that he was this 10 out of 10 fighter because before he showed up, Goku and Piccolo were the best we've ever seen by far. I feel like this was a special case and his level should kind of reflect that. As for performance, worst performance maybe of Goku's entire career. Goku got one-shotted. Yeah, if he didn't have the weights on, maybe he doesn't get one-shotted like this, but it is what it is. This is Goku's worst performance.
You know what else John Cena wouldn't have done? Or would have done?
A 3.75.
He would never have tapped
out. I
out.
didn't say this in the intro, but for losses, I'm going to be reducing the score by
he
a
did.
third, or 33%. So
I don't know what John Cena wouldn't want to do anymore.
Actually going to be 2.51. I was going to reduce the score in half for a loss, but part of the lower score is already reflected in the point value the fighter gets in the performance field. So I feel like that was kind of overkill. A third seems just about right. And if the fight is a draw, I'm going to reduce it only by 15% because I don't want to penalize you too much for a draw. All right, next fight is again versus Raditz.
Made him move his brother than Raditz.
Goku with the help of Piccolo and Gohan.
Raditz died.
As a 5.5 level.
Raditz is dead, so they didn't care about bringing the nigga back.
Him up by 1 point with the context adjuster to give him.
They decided to bring that nigga back at all.
As for performance, Goku definitely did
yeah, you're right, because Vegeta has a brother too, but he's not even dead. They just don't care about that nigga.
His curve.
What?
Had Raditz sweating a little bit. Still got cooked in the hands department though. Any leg.
Yeah, Raditz, Vegeta brother named Tarble. He ain't dead. They just don't care about that nigga. He showed up one time like a special thing. I ain't seen the nigga since. He got like an alien wife. She got like tentacles or something. I don't know, but he just don't care about that nigga. He don't care about that nigga, which is funny.
Go Raditz's tail, which dings him a point, but he was pivotal in beating him. So I'm gonna give him a 5.5 for performance. But we're going to use the context adjuster and drop that performance score by 2 points, bringing it down.
Raditz and Nappa gotta feel salty because they like the only Saiyan niggas that we like know that just didn't get no didn't get no like a lot of like development because Broly's dad, Goku's dad in the manga. I guess Vegeta's dad didn't really get any kind of either, but still.
3.5 because I mean he got a lot of help in this fight. If it wasn't for Piccolo and Gohan, he's deep fried. He's barbecue, bro. He's finished. Gohan's overall score is going to be
Raditz was stunned on them
this
niggas.
fight, but remember, this wasn't a win for Goku. This was actually a draw. You could say it's a win for Piccolo, but Goku had to die in order for Raditz to die. So for him, it's a draw. We're gonna take 15% away of the average.
He looks like he looks like a little Vegeta.
So Goku's left with.
He looks like his brother. He looks like a little Vegeta. His name is Tarble. Tarble. This is him right here, like a little Vegeta, and yeah, like, and he's like super weak too. And I guess technically it's canon, but niggas don't even like there's like no information about him. Like they don't even, like any of the flashbacks where they see like it just I don't know. But yeah, he's just like a little Vegeta. He showed up and like and it was like I don't know if you can see, but he showed up that yeah ball. Well, actually, Loki Nappa had hair in like in the Bardock movie, the old one. They had hair. Yeah, like a little a little bit. He had a little bit up there. He had a little bit on him. Yeah, he does look like Vegeta from Dami. Yeah, a little bit of something. Yeah, a little bit of hair. Is this from the movie? Because if he was from the movie, he had hair though. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little tough up there. He said, "I'm going bald. I'm coming home." But yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
With a total score of 4.25 for his second fight in the Saiyan Saga. Okay, so his next fight is after the King Kai training, and he pulls up in the battlefield and fights Nappa. Listen, Nappa was super elite for the saga. Like, he was just coming off beating basically
that nigga Nappa was Brock Lesnar to them niggas.
Brutal fashion. Only had a couple of little hiccups along the way. I'm gonna give him an 8 for level. He was him, bro. He was him in the saga. And as for Goku's performance, he went from one of his worst performances of all time at the start of the arc to one of his very best with Nappa. And against much
I said
higher
earlier,
competition. Dude,
if there's two niggas you don't want to know who is stronger than you, that is Goku and Gohan, because them niggas will get extra disrespectful. Extra disrespectful. Them niggas will start doing stuff you just unnecessarily.
I'm gonna
get Gohan gonna punch your stomach to the back of your spine. Those are gonna step on your head or something crazy like that.
Give him a 9.5 for this performance. I think it was almost perfect, but Nappa did start giving him some good resistance. Still though, amazing. One of the best performances, not just from Goku in the entire show in general. The pull up against Nappa was phenomenal. Alright, now moving to the flagship fight of the saga. This was the main fight of the saga.
Hey, if you ask me,
Vegeta.
Vegeta won this fight, nigga. They had to jump him. I don't care. If Gohan and Krillin didn't come back and Yadro was in there, that nigga Goku loses that fight.
And bro, no question, no ifs, ands, or buts. Vegeta gets a 10 for level. I've had so many people in the comments, I don't get how they're hating on him so much. Bro, you can't deny he was the one in the Saiyan Saga. 10 out of 10. Goku, his performance here, definitely not as good as the Nappa one. It was mixed, okay? He had some very high highs, and he had some very low lows. The Kaioken ×3 beatdown was legendary work, and winning the beam struggle too. But he was only able to do that by completely overclocking and wrecking his body. And then he got absolutely annihilated by Grade 8 Vegeta. Didn't give up though, and really just did, I mean, almost as good as you possibly can do despite, you know, the overwhelming obstacle he had in front of him. I'm going to give him a 7.5 for performance. This was a very solid performance from Goku, despite taking the loss. So the average score is going to be 8.75. Since he did lose this fight, it's going to drop him down to a 5.25. And then we go to Goku's final fight in the saga. It was again against Vegeta, but this time it was with the help of Gohan, Krillin, and Yajirobe. As we established, Vegeta's a 10 out of 10 for level, but I am going to use the context adjuster and drop his level by 1 point because he was fighting a battle-worn Vegeta, which would bring him down to a 9, which I think is solid because this version of Vegeta still would have clapped Nappa, so 9 out of 10 seems solid. For performance, it's funny for performance. Goku was crippled and he didn't throw a punch, but he still played such a big role in beating Vegeta. He was the coach, he was the hype man, and yeah, he wasn't the one to throw the Spirit Bomb at Vegeta, which was a huge contributor to his loss, but it was still his energy that he generated earlier. So I'm gonna give him a 4 for his performance, and I feel like that's fair given the fact that he didn't throw a single punch. I don't think you can give him too much more than that. And I am going to drop the score by 2.5 points to adjust for the immense amount of help that he had in this fight. I mean, it wasn't the fact that Vegeta just had to fight 3 other people. It was the fact that one of them was his tail regenerated in the middle of the fight. There was leftover Spirit Bomb from the last fight. And he had to deal with somebody who he didn't even know Yajirobe was part of the fight. And bro pulled up on him. And bro pulled up on him twice. Dude, the second time Vegeta was heated, bro. Remember Yajirobe was like leaning back, kind of pointing at him, and he just looked just obese, just just pointing the finger in his face, laughing. But whatever. That's neither here nor there. Goku's total score for this fight is a 5.25. So he has 2 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw in the Saiyan Saga. All right, let's take a look at Vegeta's record in the Saiyan Saga. First opponent for him, again, is going to be Goku. And listen, just like I gave Vegeta a 10 out of 10, I'm going to give Goku a 10 for his level. Even though Vegeta was better, I definitely still put Goku in that same league. Yeah, his base power wasn't up to par, but he had such a deep bag of weapons with the Kaioken, the Spirit Bomb, that he could use to more than level the playing field. He's in the same league. He gets a 10. As far as performance, same thing as the Goku fight. Vegeta had very high highs and very low lows. He was toying with them before the Kaioken, then got dog walked, lost the beam struggle, but then crushed him with the Ozaru, which he might not have even needed, to be fair, because Goku was deep fried after pushing his body to Kaioken × 4. I'm going to give him the same score as Goku. I'm going to give him a 7.5. Which this is going to bring his overall score to an 8.75. And he won the fight, so he gets to keep the full score. Very strong start here for Vegeta. His next fight, again, it was against Goku, but this time it was also against Gohan, Krillin, and Yajirobe. So it was 1 versus 4. For level, the best fighter on their team is at 6, but I'm going to use the context adjuster and increase the level by 3 points, bring it up to 9, because Vegeta's dealing with, like I said before, Vegeta was dealing with so many different opponents, unknown elements, the sneak attack, everything I said from Goku's perspective just a minute ago. As far as his performance, I'm going to give him a 6 because as impressive as his durability and tenacity was, he just made a lot of mistakes from underestimating his opponents and just letting his anger get the better of him. I feel like if he just really put the pride to the side and accepted that, like, yeah, he's facing adversity from these, people that are beneath him. If he just kind of accepted that, he would have done a lot better and he might have even won the fight. So overall, his score is a 7.5, but of course he lost the fight, so the total score is going to be 5.03. And his record for the Saiyan Saga is 1 win and 1 loss. Alright, now we're going into the Namek Saga, and we're going to swing back around to Goku. Actually, you know what? Let's stay with Vegeta here, because he had like 4 or 5 fights before Goku even pulled up to the planet. Alright, so Vegeta's first opponent on Namek was Kui, and look, man, I give him a 4.5 for level. It's crazy how he's as strong as Vegeta was in base last arc, but now he's middle of the road at best for this arc. Honestly, if we're just talking strictly power and ranking in the Frieza Force, I feel like he is a little underrated because the only people above him are the Ginyu Force and Zarbon and the Doria. Everybody else in Frieza's army he clears, but he's such a coward, bro. He's a track star. I'm going to give him a 4.5. Vegeta's performance was basically perfect, but I'm going to give him a 9.5 just because he almost fell for the oldest trick in the book. He's like, look, Frieza's here, and dude actually turned around. I'm going to give him a 9.5 just for that. Bringing Vegeta's overall score for this fight, a 7. Next up is Dodoria. Same logic as Kui. I was going to give Dodoria a 5.5, but I ended up giving him a 5 for level, just because it's the same thing. He's just another coward track star. For performance, this was insane because technically he should be able to give at least a decent fight to Vegeta because their power levels were actually so close to even, but he's such a coward. He wouldn't even consider fighting a guy slightly stronger than him. He had to know Vegeta was levels above him in skill. This is a perfect performance from Vegeta. It was a 10 out of 10, but maybe this is going to be the most controversial use of the context adjuster is I'm going to drop his performance score by half a point just because, and I know this isn't fair to Vegeta, but Dodoria barely trying and just running away right off rip, it does make this 10 a little less impressive that his opponent didn't even come close to going out on his shield. I don't know, I can already tell this one's going to be a controversial call. Bro, I can hear you typing. Stop it. Guys, this ain't easy. You try to make the perfect rankings. I guarantee you won't. It's a lot of
Oh,
tough
my
calls.
food is
But
here.
still,
I'll be
Vegeta's
back.
gonna get an over.
I'll be back. Hold on. There you go. I'll be back. Listen to this.
Ben's track.
Don't call my phone anymore, cause I'm starting to fear it. And I feel myself around you right now, baby. No, 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 no. Some things are better left unsaid, come with the pretending. And I don't figure nothing else that I ain't said just yet. Leave me alone, I got myself straight now, now, now. Yo, hey, where you at? Where you at? No, 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 no.
Okay, we back.
Overall score of 7.25 for a second win in the saga. Next up, we got Vegeta versus Zarbon. And Zarbon, I actually think he's super underrated. Dude was a dog, and he was a solid fighter too. Check out that breakdown video I did. You'll see he was actually pretty legit. I'm gonna give him a 6 for score. As for performance, man, Vegeta was having his way with him before he transformed, and even got a couple of good shots in against Monster Zarbon, but he couldn't handle the power and the overwhelming pressure. Still a pretty impressive display of his grit, so I'm gonna give him a 4.5 for this performance. And it's gonna bring his average score to 5.25. Of course, he lost this fight, so his total score sits at 3.52 for the Zarbon fight. Next up is the Zarbon rematch. Again, Zarbon's a 6. And this time though, Vegeta showed that when you put them on the same playing field, he's the much more talented fighter. He destroyed Zarbon in this fight. Definitely not a perfect performance, and some of the dominance was the result of the pocket sand that he threw at him, but it makes sense. He had to get rid of Zarbon quick so that Krillin and Bulma wouldn't escape, and he was willing to fight dirty to do so. He was winning this fight 10 out of 10 times regardless. I'm going to give him an 8 for performance for this one. Very solid. And that brings his overall score to a 7. Next up is Vegeta's fight against Recoome.
Oh my god.
Listen. I'm going to give Recoome a 6.5 for level. He was definitely a cut above Zarbon. I could see if you want to give him a 7, but I think I'm comfortable with the 6.5. For his performance, Vegeta was an absolute dog in this fight. He showed his toughness, creativity, tenacity.
Nigga planted him though.
Was just simply too much for him. I give him a 5.5. That brings his average to a 6, and he lost this one, so it's going to bring him down to a 4.02. Next fight was against Jace, who, same as Recoome. I want to say Recoome, Jace, and Burger were all 6.5s. Which one was strongest between them? I don't know, but they're all in the same tier. But this was one of the weirder performances in the show. Jace looked like he could somewhat compete with Vegeta, who's supposed to be stronger than the Goku who humiliated Burger and Jace combined. He actually got caught with a pretty good shot in this fight too, but then he just destroys him in one of my favorite finishes of the show. Vegeta, no! With his Australian accent, bro. Nah, I'm giving Vegeta an 8 for performance. It was solid. So Vegeta's overall score for this fight is a 7.25. Alright, now we got the fight against Captain Ginyu. But this was not a solo fight. This was Vegeta, Goku, Gohan, and Krillin versus Captain Ginyu. Even though Gohan and Krillin didn't really contribute to, once Vegeta pulled up, they were out of the equation. I'm giving Ginyu an 8 for his level, but I'm using the context adjuster to drop his score by 2 points, adjusting him to a 6. Just because this wasn't like vintage Ginyu. This was Ginyu in Goku's body where he was unable to max out his power. Vegeta's gonna get a 9 for performance because he just completely took over what was supposed to be a group fight and annihilated Ginyu. But I will be docking him 2 points for his performance though, because without Goku's help throwing the frog, he would have gotten his body stolen. Wait, didn't Goku, hold up, didn't Goku save him twice? Because he switched bodies with them once to get his body back, and the second time,
No, Vegeta wasn't
do the
really,
frog, right?
what are we thinking?
Should I drop him more?
I wonder, could they
Nah,
see
let's just
the
do the 2
change
points.
now being?
It is what it is.
Because he was
That
applying
brings his
to that
performance
shit.
to a
Like,
7, and his overall score for this fight, since he won it, is going to be a 6.5. All right, next up is the Frieza fight.
oh my god.
I didn't split this up into like 37.5 different fights like the Dragon Ball Guru website did, but I'm gonna split the Frieza fight up into 2 battles. So this is the first one, is the group battle where it was Vegeta, Gohan, and Krillin versus Frieza in his first and second form. That I count as one group battle before Piccolo pulled up and it turned into a 1v1, right? And then he didn't really even fight Frieza in his third form, and then he did fight him in the final form, obviously 1v1. But this one is just like I said, first and second form. Frieza gets a 10.5 for level, max score for the saga, obviously. But I am going to drop him 1.5 points because obviously this is a much weaker version of Frieza than him at his best, right? For performance, this was kind of rough for Vegeta. By the way, sorry if I sound different. I think I got some Goku Yardrat AIDS or something like that. My voice is kind of, I don't know. This one was tough. He did have a very impressive showing against Frieza's first form, but he crumbled when he transformed. Barely even tried to fight, aside from a ki blast to the back that did nothing. This is actually, honestly, to me, this is actually the worst Vegeta's ever looked, man. He really went out sorry against Frieza here. You had guys much weaker than him like Krillin and Dende who made a lot more of an impact against second form Frieza than he did. He was just so gun shy. I think the lifelong fear of Frieza, just his aura, he must have had PTSD or something. I'll give him a 4 overall for
maybe nigga didn't know he could transform. He transformed into that.
Just feel like I have a frog in my throat. No Ginyu. But I'm gonna be dropping him down 1.5 points because of all the help he got, bringing him down to a 2.5 for performance. His average score is 5.75, and he lost the fight, so that brings him down to a 3.85. That's tough. My bad, guys. I accidentally skipped this one on my original voice recording.
No.
Vegeta's fight against Final Form Frieza, I gave him a 10.5 for level, obviously, but I dropped him by 0.5 point for sandbagging like crazy. Performance-wise, this was Vegeta's worst loss ever, I think. I'm going to give him a 2.5 though, only because he saved Gohan from the death beam, and he made Frieza really have to lock in to bounce his final ki blast back. If you had it lower though, I get it. Vegeta's record in the Namek saga is 5 wins and 4 losses. Alright, let's move over to Goku's record on Namek. Goku starts Namek off strong with the fight against Recoome. Like we established, he's a 6.5, and listen, flawless performance from Goku. He easily gets a 10 for this, just one-shotted him and didn't get touched once. This was actually a lot like the Nappa fight, except his performance was better, but the opponent was worse. Again, relatively worse. Obviously, Recoome is better than Nappa, but I'm just saying relative to their saga, which is how I'm scoring the opponent level, which I already mentioned that. So Goku's gonna get an overall score of 8.25 for this win. His next opponent is the combo of Birder and Jace.
The fastest in the universe.
6.5, but since there's 2 of them, I'm gonna bump them up by 0.5 point, so they get a 7. Another absolutely flawless performance for Goku here, even better than the last one. He gets a 10. Namek Goku.
I think it's the shorts stream that be doing that. I don't know why. I've been doing that since I've been streaming, but I think it's gonna be fake now. There's also a regular version of it that you can watch if you don't want to watch it in like the shorts format. I can send it to you. Yeah, 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 yeah. Mm, 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 mm. Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Goku was different, especially when he first pulled up. They had so many opportunities to land on him and they just couldn't even touch him. This is one of the most humiliating losses
The
in the show.
fastest in the universe.
Goku's overall score for this fight is an 8.5. Next up is Goku's fight with Captain Ginyu. Ginyu being the second most powerful villain in the arc, he's an 8 out of 10. Solid power and very dangerous ability too. For performance, man, he underperformed for this one and it was all his fault. Super avoidable. He pretty much went 50-50 with Ginyu before using the Kaioken, but his performance drops a lot because of his poor judgment. His overconfidence and inability to pull the trigger really ruined him in this one. He could have had another Hall of Fame performance like he did his last two fights, but he just screwed it up. DBC characters and fumbling the bag, name a more iconic duo. I'm going to give Goku a 6.5 for this one, bringing his average to a 7.25. Of course, he lost this fight, so brings him down to a 4.86 overall.
All right, that's gotta
Okay, the next
close
fight
the
is
chat. I don't
again
know what
against
happened
Ginyu,
again.
this time with the help of Vegeta, Gohan, and Krillin, but really just Vegeta. Ginyu's level is an 8, but he's getting dropped 2 points because it was a much weaker version of Ginyu in Goku's body, so his overall is a 6. For performance, I'm actually giving Goku an 8 for performance. He didn't really throw a punch, but this was so impressive for me because despite being in such dire conditions, he was so clutch in this one. Got his body back and saved Vegeta from the body change. The literal opposite of the bag fumbling from the last fight. But I'm dropping that 8 down by 2 points, down to a 6, because he obviously had help from Vegeta, who's the muscle. Without him, none of it would have been possible. So he gets a 6 for performance, and that's going to bring Goku's overall score for this win a 6. Okay, so Goku's next opponent is Frieza. And yes, I'm splitting this fight up into 2 separate fights. Base and Super Saiyan Goku versus Frieza. If you saw the fight analysis videos I made, you already know. These two felt like separate fights, and they kind of were, because what was supposed to be a 1v1 turned into a gauntlet battle with Piccolo, Gohan, and Krillin jumping Frieza and saving Goku countless times. So I had him losing by disqualification.
Mhm.
And then rematching Frieza as a Super Saiyan. So Goku and Base versus Frieza. Frieza, again, he's the pinnacle as far as level goes in this arc. He gets a 10.5. But I am going to be dropping him down by half a point because Frieza only got up to 50% of his power in this fight, so he was sandbagging, bringing him down to a 10. Goku performed about as well as anybody could have conceivably done against Frieza at this time, barring a miracle. And even though he was getting absolutely destroyed, just the fact that he was holding his own and had some really impressive moments too, despite the giant power gap, I'm going to give Goku a 6 for performance. That brings his average score to an 8, and of course he lost this one, so that drops it down to a 5.36. And his next opponent, again being Frieza, this time he gets the full mark, 10.5, no reductions, because this is Frieza at 100%. For performance, look, in my opinion, this is the single best win in DBZ history. Bro, this one is still talked about among the Z fighters in later arcs. Frieza put up a great fight and showed his insane talent, but Goku kept chipping away at him and had elite composure, proved that he was superior. The way he had the most powerful being in the universe physically and mentally broken in the championship rounds was beyond impressive. It wasn't perfect, but I'm giving that performance an 8.5. And I'm actually going to use the context adjuster here to give an extra point to Goku because of number one, just the sheer importance of the fight and the fact that he was cool as a cucumber under insane conditions. Dude, the pressure he must have felt knowing that the planet was gonna blow up and that he was the last hope, not just for his planet or his race, but for countless civilizations. Yeah, enough said. +1. he gets an adjusted score of 9.5 for his performance. His overall score for this fight is a 10 out of 10, and he won the fight, so he keeps that full score. Best win in the series, period. Goku's record in the Namek Saga is 4 wins and 2 losses. Alright, we're sticking with Goku and covering his Android Saga battles now. First up is his fight against Android 19, and for level, I'm going to give 19 a 6.5. He was a little bit better than middle of the road, but definitely not an elite opponent. I feel like that's fair. You know what I mean? Like Raccoon level. Because last arc I gave Raccoon a 6.5. So for the Android Saga, 19 is probably the Raccoon equivalent. Obviously, this is the fight where Goku got the heart virus, but I think he still had a slim chance to win it, even with the heart virus. I mentioned it in my analysis video.
I wonder who like is actually stronger at this point, like Goku without the heart virus and like Super Saiyan Vegeta. Because it depends on their base form, right? So I don't know. That'd have been a cool ass fight to see. I don't know. Because granted, Goku did struggle with Android 19, but had the heart virus. So, so it's like, I don't know. It's weird because Vegeta put BTA to that nigga. And then, actually, I think he was stronger. I think Piccolo said he was stronger, I think. I don't know.
Fight, but there was a moment where Jiro was like, oh, if 19 doesn't find an opportunity to absorb some energy soon, he's gonna start to malfunction. Yeah, it just wasn't vintage Goku, man. I'm gonna give him a 5 for his performance. His decision making wasn't the same, but of course I am gonna use the context adjuster. Before you get your pitchforks up, I'm gonna adjust his performance by 1.5 points because his performance was a lot more impressive in mind given the fact that he had the heart virus. So he gets a 6.5. Average score is a 6.5, but he lost it, so it brings him down to a 4.36. His next fight in the saga, we're jumping all the way to Perfect Cell.
Beat the game with his
sandwich.
sandwich.
It's a 10.5 for level. First 10.5 since Frieza at his peak. And I'm giving Goku a 7.5 for his performance in this fight. Beautiful display of skills from both fighters. Goku was at the absolute top of his game, going toe-to-toe with a more powerful, highly skilled, generational great like Cell. Even blew off his top half with the Warp Kamehameha. I will say though, Goku's got a great PR team because he was starting to look bad as he was gassing. And had he not quit, the perception of his performance wouldn't have been as good because you would have seen him getting pummeled. Still though, fantastic work, 7.5. Giving him an average score of 9, and since he lost, an overall score of 6.03. Probably the highest score anybody's gonna get for a loss. Next opponent is the Cell Jr. For level, I'm giving them a 9.5. I can see the argument for a level of 10
too.
just power wise, but since they're
there was some high ends for sure,
and they don't have Cell's regen, I'm gonna drop them a little bit on points for that. And man, as for the performance, I know Goku was tired from his fight with Cell, but at this point he had time to catch his breath, get back some of the energy he lost. So
the Cell Juniors are about as strong as Cell.
Performance. I guess that just goes to show how hard he was redlining his body to keep up with Cell in the last match. But he did really bad. That was an abysmal performance. I'm going to give him a 1.5. But I am going to give him an extra 1.5 because he wasn't even close to his best. But still, I wanted to see a little bit more. He gets a 3 overall.
I'm probably going to get off stream after this video.
Scores averaged out to 6.25. With the loss, drops down to a 4.19. Final fight for Goku in the saga is against Super Perfect Cell, who's getting a perfect score of 11 for the arc. And this was
the Cell Juniors was doing like the weaker niggas dirty. Like Yamcha and especially Yamcha, because Yamcha was just like, bro, I'm just here for like to support. I'm not even trying to fight, nigga. He had enough of Dr. Gero. Nigga put a hole in his chest. I gotta break that nigga arm or something. Hold on. It is something crazy to that nigga. Junior. Wait, hold on. The fuck? So, Junior. Yamcha. Yeah, they broke his arm. Like, look at this. Oh, well.
Build a website you love with Wix. For your words,
I know. Yeah. And they can't even believe it. I know that shit hurt. That shit is Spanish. You can tell that shit hurt. Nigga said, ah! You know that shit hurt when you have like a delayed scream to it. Like a delayed scream plus a little bit of like a tiny scream. He said, ah! That is crazy. I just straight up one shot that nigga. They just like, no, I'm about to beat his ass.
Goku with the help of Gohan, Vegeta, Piccolo, Tien, Yamcha, and Krillin. It's kind of ridiculous. Honestly, even just adding this fight onto Goku's record is going to be super controversial because he was literally dead. Listen, if you disagree and you feel like this should not be on his record, I totally understand. But I am going to include this as a team battle for him. I don't know, it just seems like it's a special circumstance for me. Even though he physically wasn't in the battle, he was coaching Gohan all the way through and played a key role in helping him beat Cell here. Without Goku, they don't beat Cell. You feel me? If I'm not convincing you, again, I'm not mad at you. But his score for this fight, just because he played such a pivotal role, I'm going to give him a 5 for performance. And I'm dropping it by 2.5 because he had an unbelievable amount of, you know what, bro, I'm gonna drop it down by 3, bro, because he had an unbelievable amount of help for this fight. And not gonna lie, I might be glazing a little bit here giving him this win, because just the more I think about it, this is just ridiculous. He wins against Super Perfect Cell. The man was dead. I'm telling you, bro, I'm telling you, some of these are tough calls. I feel like it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. So if you're gonna cook me in the comments, I'm not mad at it. You can cook me in the comments for this one. Goku gets an overall score of 6.5 for this win. All right, Goku's record in the Android saga is looking a little bit rough. 1 win and 4 losses, and that 1 win is very controversial too. A lot of people say like, oh, this was him taking a step back. Nah, bro, he tried. He just wasn't him in this arc. It just is what it is. Like, he had amazing moments. It just wasn't him.
And at the time,
like, one.
If he would have pulled up, like if he would have had a heart virus, so they beat Dr. Gero, or they beat, it's like plays all the thing, they beat Fat Nigga Android 19, and then Dr. Gero runs away. All the other androids would have whooped on Goku, and they were trying to kill Goku, so they might have killed that nigga. So I don't know. They would have ran down on them too bad, worse than they did the rest of them niggas, because they wasn't even looking for them. They just beat their ass just for the love of the game. Goku, they were trying to kill that nigga.
Go to Vegeta's record in the Android saga. First fight was against Android 19, and we already established him as a 6.5. But I'm actually going to use the context adjuster to give him another 0.5 point and make him a 7, because he's just coming off a win against Goku, who's the reigning, defending, undisputed champ. And he took
that was a disrespectful kick and a disrespectful catch.
On this, make him a 7 because he's just coming off a win against Goku, who's the reigning, defending.
And damn, he can stretch all his fucking collar out of his shirt. His shit all the way fucked up. Should lose.
Undisputed champ. And he took energy from him. So this version of 19 not only had the extra aura, but he was physically stronger than the one that Goku fought. Performance-wise, this was one of Vegeta's coldest performances ever, bro. It was basically perfect. Absolutely dismantled 19, and maybe the most humiliating and satisfying defeat.
You started doing leg press on this nigga.
The only thing I knocked him for is letting his energy get absorbed by the android. It just wasn't a smart move, but it turned out not to matter at all for this fight, so I'm not going to fault him too much for it. He gets a 9.5 for performance. This was actually a hell of a win. Vegeta's overall score for this fight was 8.25. His next opponent was Android 18, and I think 17 and 18, both of them, I'd put both of them at an 8 for their level for this arc. Vegeta's performance in this one, I think it's a little bit underrated for how brutally he got finished in the end. He definitely had his moments and showed that he was still
Did you see how he ate that punch? She didn't blink.
Their level for this arc.
Hold on.
Vegeta's performance.
She didn't even blink.
In this one, I think it's a little bit underrated for how.
She didn't even blink. What the fuck? That's insane. I'm like, hold on. Wait, what's going on? I know I can't read your power level, but I feel like I just became a Super Saiyan. As Max out the other nigga, I feel like there shouldn't be like you shouldn't be no selling my moves like this. Something ain't right here.
He got finished in the end. He definitely had his moments and showed that he was still no slouch power-wise, even compared to what was, at the time, the biggest threat we've ever seen. But he was going to lose this one regardless, mainly because of the stamina issue. But he could have performed better if he fought with a cooler head. I'm going to give him a 4, bringing his average
This nigga arm too.
score to
Golly.
a 6. And
Get that nigga a second elbow.
And since he lost,
On
that
the same
drops him
arm.
down to a 4.02 for the fight with 18.
Next
Next opponent for Vegeta is Semi-Perfect Cell, and I'm going to give him a fighter score of 9. I know he lost Aura after the just TM Tri-Beam Spam Festival, but this man was still an absolute threat. The way he just toyed with 16 and 18 like nothing is crazy. This was basically a flawless performance by Vegeta. Didn't I just say this 19 was the most humiliating? This is probably the most humiliating defeat a villain ever took in the show. Vegeta outclassed him in power, speed, skill, timing, everything, bro. And right in front of the fighter he just lost to in his last fight, who's been running.
I know she was like, what the fuck? Because like, to them niggas are just like, they don't know shit about these niggas besides they just, they go good friends or whatever. They don't know about the time chamber or nothing. This nigga just come back. And this nigga been on the roids? That's what they think. Fuck happened to this nigga?
This was definitely his peak in the saga and one of the coldest moments in the show. 10 out of 10. This was an amazing win for Vegeta. He gets an overall score of 9.5 for this win. Right after this fight is the fight with Perfect Cell. Again, Perfect Cell gets a 10.5 for level, and man, he got absolutely. This performance started off like the Frieza one. Cat and mouse game by Cell, just humiliating Vegeta. And probably his get back for how bad he just got done in his last form. But I'm going to give Vegeta a 4.5 for his performance, terrible as it was, just because of how cold the final flash was. Legendary stuff. And blew off a chunk of Cell's torso. I don't care what Cell says. He did not think he was going to do that kind of damage. And I might be being generous, but 4.5. I'm gonna get glazed comments. Oh, you're glazing Vegeta. Like, I haven't glazed Goku like 70 times already in this video, bro. I swear, dude. I don't understand.
I still didn't know about that shit in extra small. That nigga ain't messing with me either. This is on Twitter too. That's nigga been retweeting stuff, nigga. I know you look at your notifications, nigga. Goddamn.
Vegeta haters. Honestly, I don't understand the Goku haters either. But there's something about Vegeta to where like you just start to get gremlins in the comment that just don't want to see you. Give him any credit where credit's due. It's weird, bro. It's really, really weird. It's goofy as hell. His average points for this fight is a 7.5, but he lost, so it goes down to a 5.03. Next opponent is the Cell Jr., who again we established is a 9.5 for level. I maybe should have looked at this fight a little bit closer before doing this.
Hit up Coil Ray, see she wanted.
I know that Vegeta held his own the best out of all the Z fighters, except for in the anime only.
Bro, I don't know if you heard me talk about it when I first got like when I was like, she looked kind of short to be an extra large. So I'm like, maybe they're trying to go for like some future Trunks, like crop top, jacket type thing. Niggas took my arm in and I was like, what? I was like, damn. That shit was squeezing my shit. I was like, yo, this shit extra large because like nigga, my arms ain't that big and my arms ain't that big, you know? Extra small. I was like, ain't no way. I was like, ain't no way. I was like, bro, what?
Was putting in work. Still, I think Vegeta and
Trunks felt like goddamn being restrained.
Trunks were the only two still standing, and he was going 50-50 with the Junior. I'll give him a 6. That's where I think he's
shaking up the hair on my wrist.
Average, which is going to go down because he lost this one. It's going to go down to a 5.19. And here we go. Next opponent is Super Perfect Cell. Super Perfect Cell is going to get the perfect score of 11. And Vegeta's performance was just
but you got to give him
terrible.
You got to give him a little bit more because he did help beat Cell.
He got deep fried, barbecued, sauteed, filleted.
He did get bitch slapped and like knocked out though. So I can't really,
baked, that. Air fried,
like
grilled.
Like I've never seen you laid out like this before. That nigga, hold on. That nigga, let me move my camera real quick. Like, damn. That's not off like a blast. That's just nigga backhand.
I don't know. Everything by Cell. Credits due to him though. He made Cell in his prime brace for impact. That was a nasty key blast by Vegeta. You guys remember? Even Gohan was like, dang. Once again, the key attack is going to save Vegeta's performance score from completely tanking here. I'm going to give him a 3, bringing his score to a 7, and the overall score after the loss is a 4.69. His next opponent is again Super Perfect Cell, but he fought him alongside Gohan, Goku, I guess, Piccolo, Tien, Yamcha, and Krillin. Aside from Gohan, Vegeta played the biggest role in defeating Cell. Once again, he banged him with a nasty ki blast. Bro, look at the Bambi legs. Cell's gotta hate this dude at this point. He's gonna be having nightmares about Vegeta's ki blast at hell. That's 3 times now he's clipped him and embarrassed him in his perfect form. And I'm dropping the score down by a 1.5 because without Gohan, this is not possible. Vegeta gets an overall score of 7.25 for this win. Vegeta's record in the Android Saga is 3 wins and 4 losses. Alright guys, let's move back over to Goku. Goku's first opponent in the Buu Saga is Yakon. Which, by the way, I guess kind of really late in the video for me to mention this, but I'm not counting filler only fights, which kind of sucks because I did want to rank the PyCon win for Goku, but it opens up too big a can of worms and it's just going to dilute the stats too much with wins against Squirtle, 4-foot bald dude with a beard, Caterpillar, and other tomato cans are just going to hurt his record, so it's just best to keep the Otherworld Saga out of the records fully. But yeah, anyways, Yakon was decent, man. He wasn't a complete can like Babidi's other soldiers, aside from Dabura. I give him a 5. Goku had a good performance, had a very impressive finish at the end of the fight. I'm going to give him an 8 for his performance, though. He could have made it a little bit cleaner, and Yakon was giving him good resistance before he murked him with Super Saiyan 2, so I feel like 8 sounds right to me. Goku's going to get overall score of 6.5 for this win. His next fight was against Majin Vegeta, my favorite fight in the series. Check out the breakdown I made for it if you haven't already. Vegeta was an absolute beast of a fighter and a powerhouse, but definitely at least a notch below the elite in this arc. I'm going to give bro an 8.5. I think that's pretty on point for him actually. Because remember, this arc, the max score goes up to 11.5. Goku had a great showing in this fight, but Vegeta was just a step ahead, man, especially early on. Goku rallied back in the championship rounds, but it wasn't enough. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 for this one because this was still very good and one of the highest scores you'll get for, still losing a fight. Of course, as we all know, Goku was sandbagging heavy by not using Super Saiyan 3 at the start, so we're going to use the
I don't think he could use Super Saiyan 3 though.
Context adjuster and give him a +2 for his performance. I feel
like if he would have used it, his time would have ran out. And then it's like, I don't know. Because in reality, the nigga just made a new form just to make a new form. It's what it was. But, yeah. I don't think he could have.
Like that's a good compromise. Or his average score is an 8.75, and with the loss, it drops down to a 5.86. Next opponent is Majin Buu, and Majin Buu, bro, Fat Buu was a solid 10.5. He's definitely elite in this arc, but he ain't cracking 11 because he's the weakest form of Buu. As for Goku's performance, Goku was teeing off on Buu in this fight and looked super impressive, but his stamina drain was bad, and he didn't fully put his foot on the gas like he does eventually in the Kid Buu fight. Goku won this fight, but there was a big question mark to his win because if it had gone on, we don't know for sure who would have won. Even though I think it still would have been Goku, I'm gonna give him a 6 for performance. Not his best win, but still solid, which brings his overall score for this fight to an 8.25. Goku's next opponent is going to be Kid Buu, and this is I'm splitting the Kid Buu fight up into 2 separate fights because he first had a 1v1, then he had to take a break, and then obviously it was the gauntlet match, right? But yeah, I'm going to give Kid Buu an 11. It's a rare case in DBZ where the final villain actually isn't the strongest villain, so I can't give him the max score, but sipping on that green tea, man. That green tea. Goku's doing really well in this fight while he lasted, but he had to forfeit to take that minute break to gather energy. And by the way, that minute wouldn't have even helped him because he actually burned out while trying to gather ki. If he didn't have Vegeta to, tag in for him and he had to keep fighting, he'd have gotten destroyed in that minute. Kind of like against Perfect Cell, Goku's PR team kept him from getting embarrassed in this fight. I'm giving him a 6.5 for performance, and honestly that might be me being generous, which brings his average score to an 8.75, and of course he lost this fight, so he gets a 5.86. Next and final fight for Goku on this list is again versus Kid Buu, but this time it's with the help of Vegeta, Fat Buu, Hercule,
the entire world,
New Namek, the human race, the Namekian race, bro, everybody. I feel like I might have helped. Kid Buu, of course, gets an 11 for score. Goku, I'm giving him an 8 for his performance just because the Spirit Bomb was legendary. Granted, he wouldn't have been able to finish it off without the help of everybody. And even then, he still needed the wish that restored his power. So I'm going to drop his performance down by 3 points for obvious reasons. So he gets a 5 for his weighted score for performance. Overall score of 8 for this win. Solid win still. Goku's record in the Buu saga was 3 wins and 2 losses. Finally, we're going to take a look at Vegeta's record in the Buu saga. Starting with his first opponent, Pui Pui. Look, bro. Pui Pui was a bin man, tomato can, waste man bum. He was trash, bro. I'm giving him a 2.5 for level, and that's me being generous. My bad. Looks like I got my notes here. Looks like I adjusted him to a 2. Yeah, I dropped him down to a 2. Okay. Dude, he's a bum. He deserves the 2. All right. Vegeta completely styled on him and finished him with ease. Flawless performance. He gets the 10, and his score for this win is a 6. Vegeta's next opponent is Goku, and listen, Goku is him. I'm giving him a level of 10.5 for this arc. Same tier as Fat Buu. Definitely below Kid Buu, though. I can't believe how many people think that Goku would beat Kid Buu. Hell no. He ain't beating Kid Buu. Goku's at 10.5 for level, but we're going to obviously use the context adjuster and drop him down by 2 points, down to an 8.5.
He literally lost to that man.
Because
he literally could not beat him.
Sandbagging. He stayed in Super Saiyan 2 for the whole fight, and 8.5 is his level as a Super Saiyan 2, which is the same level that I gave for Vegeta, so it makes sense. For performance, though, listen, to me it was a legendary performance for Vegeta because he was going up against, if not the very best, then at least the top 3 pound for pound fighter of the whole, all of the series. You feel me? He landed more shots than Goku, caught him off guard with a lot of traps, just outfought him, period. Pound for pound, nobody's doing this well against Goku on an even playing field. So I'm going to give Vegeta a 9 for his performance, even though it was a very hard fought battle. But I'm going to adjust it by dropping him down a point because of the cheap shot at the end of the fight. So it brings him down to an 8. Vegeta gets an overall score of 8.25 for his win against Goku. His next opponent is Majin Buu, who we established before is a 10.5. And I mean, Vegeta did as well as he possibly could. He gave a good account of himself, but he just couldn't handle the power difference. It was straight up impossible for him to win here.
Yeah, you have to like disintegrate that nigga right here. Just not winning.
Bringing him to an average of 7.25.
Insane regeneration.
Is going to bring him down to
if you are like fucking him up,
4.86 for the fight against Fat Buu.
Fine.
Next opponent is Kid Buu, who has a score of 11. And same thing here as the Fat Buu matchup. He did as well as he could, and he showed his toughness, lasting a whole minute getting cooked by Buu. Goku didn't think he could do it. He had less to offer here, though, than he did against Fat Buu, so I'm going to give him a 3. Let's get an average out to 7, and with the loss, it brings him down to a 4.69 for the score. And the final fight is, again, against Kid Buu, who's an 11. Again, it's Vegeta with the help of Goku and everybody. Now that I think about it, he played the role here that Goku played in a lot of the group fights. This time, he was the coach, the hype man, the idea guy. He did fight, he was stalling Buu, but he was getting fried. Overall, though, he was definitely clutch in this gauntlet match, so I'm going to give him a 4.5 for performance, even though he didn't physically do much. We're dropping this performance score down by 3 points, just like we did with Goku, so bringing his performance down to a 1.5. The overall score for this win being 6.25. Vegeta had the same record as Goku actually in this saga, 3 wins and 2 losses. All right, guys, we're done. So let's take a look at some of these stats and just yap a little bit. Like I haven't been yapping for I don't even know how long at this point.
But
so
Vegeta wins
Goku's
because
record as 10 wins, 9 losses, and 1 draw.
Because they didn't count any of his Dragon Ball fights.
Value, the sum is 125.14 with his average point value per fight being 6.26. And for Vegeta, his overall record is 12 wins and 11 losses. The sum of his points is 138.33, so higher than Goku's, but he had a couple more fights. When you look at his average point value per fight, it's a little bit lower than Goku's at 6.01. Goku's average opponent level is 8.63, and his opponent's average adjusted point level is 9.03. Vegeta's opponents are on average a little bit weaker, 8.26 average level, 8.52 average adjusted level. But yeah, dude, so you see, like, the thing is, these guys have a high average level opponent, and that's why they're racking up a lot of losses. For Goku, I'm going to put his top 5 wins on the screen here. So I got Frieza, then Nappa, and then Burter and Jace, Majin Buu, and Kid Buu. Those were the top wins that earned him the most points. And for Vegeta, it was Semi-Perfect Cell, and then Goku in the Saiyan Saga, Goku in the Buu Saga again, so he's 2-0 against Goku, we all know this. Android 19, and super perfect cell, during the gauntlet match. In the end, who had the best resume? It was Goku, man. Goku had the best resume. He fought on average the better opponents, and he scored on average more points. Both times that Goku fought Vegeta in Z, Vegeta won, but Goku had the better career. But I bet some of you are surprised to see that it's not by that much, though. They both have one more win than they do losses, and they both have almost the same amount of fights. I mean, come on. Do you see now why
I need them to hurry up and come up
guys'
with
body of work so much? Like, I'm not some
anime,
some fence sitter. It is what it is. Vegeta had a fire record. The only thing is, though,
need
you
an
know what
anime,
really separated Vegeta and Goku's record, though?
The super manga. I read the new
arcs.
Frieza.
Put that stamp on Goku's
might
career.
react to that.
You know what I mean? To say, boom,
not right now, but
case closed.
Might react to the manga next stream. Yeah. Again, shout out this nigga Sensible saying. I really fuck with his channel. His editing is fire too. Like I said, he kind of does like breakdowns of like anime fights, mainly Dragon Ball, but like the UFC fights. And really, I watched this one earlier on stream. But yeah, this nigga T did him so dirty, so dirty. He get a couple from Yu Yu Hakusho and like Naruto, I think, but which one is the most popular? Shout out to him. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it. What I'm streaming for, goddamn me. Goddamn. So yeah. I'm gonna call it. Stay tuned for some more. I'm streaming every Thursday. I'm gonna try to at least. Might stream tomorrow too because I'm off tomorrow, low key. But we might. I don't know. I don't know what's stream tomorrow or not. But well, video tomorrow for sure. But also, there you're trying to get tossed around, trying to get put on the mat, trying to get tapped out. Some WWE. You just let me know. But by the end of the stream, I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.